All right, just had my first problem. Phone battery died. So let's continue this. Hopefully everyone will log back on. So now I'm tethered to the my cord reel here, charging my phone as I go. Building a super nice expensive airplane, but I won't buy a new phone that works. Okay, so come over here to the I don't know, I guess call it the wing rack. It's just some scaffolding, works really well for placing all the long parts and rolling around the shop. Here is Steve Henry's aileron, custom aileron leading edges. This is what the aileron and flap rib look like from the factory. And here is what he sent me as a template, so you guys can get an idea of how the front of it is going to cut off and modified. Flaps, ailerons. This is trailing edge of the wing, where the wing stops and the ailerons and flaps would start. This is my aftermarket leading edge cuffs. What else do we got? Lift struts up top. And before we walk around the fuselage, just wanted to show, I don't think I showed this yet, but I bought the upgraded doors. They're welded frames, and I was told that if you don't buy these, you kind of rivet them together and they're kind of flimsy. It's a two-piece door, so the window actually hinges out, and you could fly with the window open or shut. It just seems like a much more rigid assembly. So here we'll walk around the plane. I'm tethered to the wall, charging my phone while I video. I wanted to mention that these tires stain the floor. They're super soft rubber compound, and they leave like a yellow, brown, orange stain on the floor. And I was told, I got a question about why I chose the Highlander over the Superstall. I'll get to that in just a second. There are parts from the Superstall that are on this airplane. So I parked the plane on plywood pieces because the tires stain the floor. I was told by the paint company I used a 2-part epoxy for the first coat and a 2-part polyurethane on the second coat, that tires would not stain the floor. And automotive tires don't, and everything else doesn't, but these bush wheels are super soft and they leave marks. I chose the Highlander over the Superstall for the flying characteristics. The airplane's about 100 pounds lighter than a Superstall. It does not have the leading edge slats and the Fowler flaps. It's a little bit of a simpler airplane. The Superstall has a tendency to fly nose up almost all the time on takeoff, landing, and cruise. So it's a bit of a problem if you ever have an engine failure. I talked a lot about it with Steve Henry before I purchased it. He's on his 6th Highlander right now. He's building it. It'll be Yeehaw 7, and he has built one Superstall. So he was a big reason I chose the Highlander over the Superstall. So yeah, I think these videos are available afterwards, and I am doing a build series on the entire build of videos that are not live. So this whole tail wheel assembly is off the Superstall. The Highlander would usually have just a steel metal leaf spring hanging out the back, but this actually has travel and suspension. That's a nitrogen-charged air shock. It's a 10-inch full swivel Tundra Light tail wheel. So this is directly off the Superstall. It's going to be non-steerable, non-lockable, full swivel. If you want, you can get them lockable. I'm used to flying with the full swivel tail wheel. So I like it. Use brakes to get your turn started if you're slow and you got no air over the rudder. So the fuselage is just about ready for paint. Some of the things I did on it, well, I've had the entire tail together. Built the flying wires. I've built these aluminum tubes, are the stringers. One on the top, one on the bottom, one on the sides, and they give, let's see if I can step back and get a little profile view here. They give the fabric a nice, I don't know what you call it, nice angle or nice line. So it's not just a box shape on the airplane. And then there's one on the bottom. Landing gear is all upgraded. It's the Shock Monster gear legs, Shock Monster shocks. Got the upgraded Behringer wheels and brakes. Those are 29-inch Alaskan bush wheels. They're the Airstreak ones, which are kind of the midweight ones. So there you go. If anyone's got any questions, fire away. That's kind of the whole point of the hardest part of the build so far. Well, everything's not easy building an airplane. Measuring and staying accurate, staying straight, staying square. The way you put an airplane together is you measure and test fit for about 2-3 hours, and then you drill a couple holes and you bolt it together, and that takes about 10 minutes. So it's just being precise and accurate. Give you an example of some way you can save time is these wingtip braces, and they prevent the butt rib. This is the wingtip from twisting when you shrink the fabric. I made doubles of them, so the left and the right wings are going to be the same. So I just at the same time I made all 4 instead of just making 2 at a time. I think I can't see my questions anymore. I think I just got one about how much impact can this landing gear take. I have no idea. I'm hoping a lot. Not quite 100% sure how to work the live chat yet, but like my questions keep fading away and I can't see them. I can only see them when somebody shoots me a question or makes a comment. I don't know how much travel is in this. I think between 10 and 12 inches of travel up front. I don't know how much is in the rear. Superstol definitely has more travel and a bigger suspension on the landing gear. All right, I think I might have. Well, if nobody's else got any more questions, I'm gonna log off and probably start building again. So I mostly worked with Steve Henry on getting this kind of customized. I call it the Steve Henry special model. He's ordered enough of them from Just Aircraft where they know what he likes and they know his specs. Like for example, he had the elevator tubes welded below the fuselage here instead of above it. And the reason he likes that is because there's no big cover or tube that goes above your baggage area here. So you get your elevator pushrod tube welded below, running to the back. Another thing is, this is going to be a little hard to see. He likes these extra bushings welded on the landing gear attachment points. Now, I'm showing you the middle one. I don't use the middle one. I only use the two, the front and the rear one. And the landing gear is just temporary bolted in. But he likes those because they distribute the weight more. Oh, another thing I got, tabs welded on the front of the fuselage. There'll be an aluminum piece here with a cutout and a window here so I can see forward and down. So Just is willing to work with you if you want stuff. And I just I talked to Steve on the phone and he said, you know, this is, if you want one like mine, this is what works best for me. And I kind of did everything he recommended. I bought the quick build wings and the wings are set to the fuselage. So there's the dehedral set and everything. They're squared to the fuselage. I know it's going to save me a ton of time. I think it was only like a $1,500 option, so that was worth it for me. So all I've done to the wing so far is put on the wingtip extension. There are also some. I plan on building another one after this one. Some things I want different from the factory, and there'll be more of them as I build and get further along. Where the tractor and that wing rack is sitting back there, I'm going to build a spray booth. Because I am kind of at a hung up point and I need to start painting steel parts. Because all the bell cranks and brackets need to get glued and riveted into the wing now. So I can start rigging it for controls. There's another set of the dogs. That was the request. Yeah, I'll keep the videos going. I'm doing a live one probably this week and maybe next week. I haven't made a ton of progress, so I don't feel like I'm gonna put up a regular kind of like number 9 build update video. I'd rather just go live and people can ask questions or whatever. Oh, everything's gonna be different on the next plane. Well, to start with, since this is Shock Monster's landing gear legs and suspension, Just Aircraft kind of builds the airplane for their landing gear, and I want it done a little differently, a way that I feel would be stronger. Probably talk about the engine a little bit. I did email Edge Performance or Facebook them, and I wanted to know if they're going to offer their turbocharger kit as a complete engine or just aftermarket parts where I could bolt it on, and they said they're going to do both. I asked them what's the pricing going to be, and they said they're not finished with it yet, so they don't know what it's going to cost. So I already have my Apex engine. I got a 2006 snowmobile, which one's great. I have that in other videos if you guys want to watch me drive it, but it is going to be turbocharged. It's probably going to cost a lot of money, but it's just something I want done. I don't know what type of propeller I'm going to use yet. I'm kind of letting Steve Henry play with. He'll probably have the first turbocharged one flying and the only turbocharged Highlander flying. So I'll let him play with propellers, whether it be 2-blade or 3-blade, fixed pitch or ground adjustable. Because I don't really feel like collecting a bunch of props. They're not cheap. I wish you could just order from the factory the wing with the longer tubes, spar tubes. You can see where it changes color right here, and I had to add on this piece. I don't know if they can't do it because of shipping, or they don't want to do it because they don't approve of this wingtip extension. Yeah, I wanted to start tearing apart my Apex here soon, but I might hold off and just wait. Maybe I think the longer I wait, the more dialed in that Steve's going to have his and know how to do everybody else's. So I might actually wait till after Oshkosh to buy engine parts and actually see his in person and ask him what he thinks of it and what he'd do differently in the next one. He's a big help. He makes a firewall forward kit for the Highlander to Apex. He makes all the parts necessary, such as the cooling system modifications and the engine mount and everything. Well, that's all I got. If anyone else has got any questions, let me know. I'm probably going to log off here and get to work on building. I'm not doing a paint job. I got a question. Have I thought of a paint job yet? I'm not doing one because I'm doing Oratex fabric. Steve Henry does a yellow. and he does Oratex, and then he does blue trim. I think I'm gonna do yellow fabric and black trim. Yes, the wings will still fold with the extensions. It'll be 18 inches longer. And I'll just add that the flaps will be 18 inches longer on each wing too. Yeah, I'll have to compete with Freedom Fox. The whole point of this is so I can compete with all those guys in the Stoll drags, and there is nothing I want more than to beat Trenton Palmer in competition. I'm considering calling this thing the Fox Killer. I know he calls his Kit Fox the Cub Killer because he's quicker than the Carbon Cubs. I don't know. He's running the Rotax 915 IS. It's 141 horsepower, I think. It's a great engine. Super expensive. But with this turbo Apex, probably be pushing around 300. So you'll have about twice as much thrust as what he has. Probably be able to compete with Draco then. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. I'm going to log off, get to work. If you have any questions, just message me on another video or whatever. And I can go live again later or next week or whatever to answer them.